Let's see here. Let me look up. Let me look up Brazilian foods. Foods. So you got Brazilian foods. Yeah, these are the royal dainties right here. They're goodly food, you know. Uh, but there's let me see Brazilian foods list. Let me look that up. Brazilian foods list. Okay, okay, this is perfect. So you have stuff like cozinca, you have brigadeiro, you have pão de queijo, you have pastel. You have a lot of varieties in Brazilian foods, and majority of them deal with bread. You know, that's the prophecy of the tribe of Asher. They have a lot of good food. You know, this tribe they make a lot of good food. Okay, going back into Genesis 49. Out of Asher, his breast shall be fat, and he shall yield royal dainty. So that's going into their foods and pretty much their traditions. You know, and these royal dainties they presented these to the Portuguese king during that time when they were conquered by the Portuguese. You know, these royal dainties were being given to the king, and the king was eating these foods or this food that Asher was making. You know, I'm gonna go into Deuteronomy chapter 33 because there's actually something I need to get here. Okay, that goes into the tribe of Asher. And I'm actually gonna come back and just do a brief swing around of all the other tribes. You know, this is Deuteronomy chapter 33, verse 24. And of Asher, he said, "Let Asher be blessed with children." So they have a lot of children, Asher, and let him be acceptable to his brethren. Because in the land of Brazil, you have what is known as division between the Brazilians. You have the Amazonian Brazilians, the indigenous people that live in the rainforest, okay, that do not want to mingle in society, and you have the other side of the Asherite brethren, the so-called Brazilians, that are descendants of those Amazonian people that live in the cities and that pretty much assimilated into the modern way of living, you know, the modern lifestyle, you know, and let him dip his foot into oil. That's going into the mass oil reserves are in the land now, what is called Venezuela, and some parts of Colombia, Peru, and even Brazil. That land over there is filled with a lot of oil reserves and is one of the main reasons why the US wants to pretty much topple that regime that is ruling Venezuela, you know? Thy shoes shall be iron and brass. That's referring to again the resources that comes out of Brazil. Okay, iron, brass, and oil. They are one of the main exporters of iron, brass, and oil. And as thy days, so shall thy strength be. So the tribe of Asher, they live they have a high life expectancy, and also their strength is enormous as well. You know, if you look into the martial arts scene, the main ones dominating, or one of the main people, or the main groups of people that are dominating in martial arts are the Brazilians. Okay. Now I don't watch, UFC that much, but a lot of Brazilians they're always making a name for themselves in martial arts, even in the sport of football or what people will call here soccer in America. The main ones or the main group of people that are dominating on a world stage, which with the most number of World Cup trophies are the Brazilians. You know, the Brazilians. Okay, so that's what it goes into. They're very talented people, and their strength and their skills and their talent. You know, they're blessed heavily. You know, so that's pretty much it on the prophecy of Asher. You know, so from that I'm gonna go into Naphtali. This is Genesis chapter 49, verse 21. Naphtali is a hind let loose. He giveth goodly words. Okay. Naphtali is a hind let loose. Hind represents deer. And actually, before I go on, let me actually go ahead and get the concordance of Asher. Asher, Asher here in the Hebrew is Ashar, which means happy. That also goes into the tribe of Asher, from the Colombians on to the Brazilians. They're very happy people, despite their living conditions or their living situation. They're a very happy people. So that's Omen Omen right there. Now I want to get the concordance of Naphtali, which is Naphtalian, Naphtalian. Naphtaliya, Naphtali. Okay, which means wrestling or my wrestling, because I forgot the story. I forgot the story, but pretty much something was happening with Billa. Okay, something was happening with Billa. Let me see if I can find it. Naphtali. Uh, Naphtali. And the reason why she named him Naphtali. Okay. Yeah, here it is. Okay, I found it. Excuse me. Whew. Says here, uh, this district. Oh, that's spiritual as well. Wow, that's very spiritual right there. So it says here. Let's see. Let me actually get that Joshua 27 and Genesis 30 and 8. Genesis 30 and 8. Let me get that. Yeah, this is Genesis 30 and 8. And Rachel said, with great wrestlings have I wrestled with my sister, and I prevailed, and she called his name Naphtali. So that's Omen Nomen right there. Pretty much Rachel was having a fight with her sister with who can have the most children or the most sons, who can give the most sons to Jacob. And she named this child Naphtali when she pretty much started winning that fight or struggle that she and her sister had, because during the ancient world, a woman took pride in how many children she birthed. And when a woman didn't have any children, it was like a curse or a shame, not only to her husband but to her also, because she was looked at as pretty much useless and have no function within that household. She was pretty much degraded. It was like a status or a reputation thing. The more children you had, the more reputation you gain. But here in this society, if you have a child, it's looked at as a curse, which in all reality, it's a blessing. And it's going to be a blessing again in the kingdom of heaven. That's what we're waiting for. Uh, Naphtali is a hind let loose. He giveth goodly words. Now the hind let loose is talking about uh those indigenous groups before the time or during the time when the Spaniards came here. That tribe in particular, the Mapuche, I think it's the Mapuche Indians, and there are all different types of indigenous groups down there, but they were pretty much a nomadic people, and they live a nomadic lifestyle. even to the point where the tribe of Naphtali gave the tribe of Asher, which are the Incans, if you didn't know, they are the Incans, or they formed the Incan Empire. They gave the tribe of Asher problems and hardships because they never wanted to be conquered by the Incans. They were always roaming about. Sometimes they'll stage hit and runs where they'll attack an Incan village and run away. So this group or this tribe, okay, during that time they lived in mountainous regions, and they never stayed in one place. They were always moving about. They're very nomadic, so they traveled a lot. Okay. Nowadays, that Highland loose is referring to the gauchos. If you know about the gauchos, they still follow on that nomadic tradition, but now they pretty much uh took in parts of the Spanish traditions as well, and they form what is called the gaucho culture. Now, not all of the tribe of Naphtali, the Argentinians and the so-called Chileans, are doing this gaucho thing, but a large majority of them that still live in the countryside of Argentina and Chile, they still practice this gaucho culture, this nomadic lifestyle. Okay, see if I can get a picture here of Naphtali. Here it is, Naphtali, the so-called Argentinians and Chileans. And a lot of them now have mixed and mingled, because Argentinians are known as the quote unquote whitest Latinos in South America, or you could say in the whole American continent. And the reason why that is because you had a large flux of immigrants, especially from Italy, okay, Italy and Spain, that came in and mingled with the indigenous populations. So they don't look as they did back during the times of the 16 or the 1500s. They mixed in. Okay, so there you go. Natali's a hind let loose. He giveth goodly words. That giveth goodly words is referring to number one, the poetry of the tribe of Naphtali. The Argentinians, if you know about the Argentinians, they are very, very, very poetic people. And in fact, Argentina, I believe, is number one in literature in South America. So that's prophecy right there. And also, the give of goodly words, it goes into the wisdom that they have, because there are a lot of sayings that come from Argentina and Chile that refers to wisdom. And also their demeanor, they have a very, very friendly countenance, or you could say a friendly appearance, compared to like the other tribes, the tribe of Gad, the tribe of Judah. They're not really really friendly, you could say, or even the tribe of Reuben. They're not really friendly. Okay, as they will be just like the tribe of Naphtali is. So that's the difference in characteristics between the tribes. But the main point or the main key is that the tribe of Naphtali, they are a nomadic people. Not all of them, because you have a lot of them that live in the cities. They don't live that lifestyle anymore. They pretty much assimilated. But the ones that still keep the traditions, they live a nomadic lifestyle, and the give of godly words mean they're number one in literature in the American continent. Among the Northern Kingdom, they're number one in literature. Okay. Now I'm also going to go into Deuteronomy chapter 33. Let's see if there's anything for the tribe of Naphtali. No, that's pretty much it, for the tribe of Naphtali. Okay. I'm also I'm also gonna go into Joshua 20 and 7. Okay. Joshua 20 and 7. Okay. And this is pretty much speaking about the mountainous region that Naphtali lived in. In fact, let me go ahead and get it in the NLT. Okay, so the tribe of Naphtali, the following cities were designated as cities of refuge: Kadesh of Galilee in the hill country of Naphtali, Shechem in the hill country of Ephraim, and Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron in the hill country of Judah. So that also, goes in, into who the tribe of Naphtali are. They live in a mountainous region, just like Argentina is today. If you look at the map of the Americas, okay, look at the map of the Americas. There's an Andean mountain here that stretches, I think it's from here all the way here, the north of Chile, all the way down to like right here. And that's where majority of the Mapuche, or you could say the tribe of Natali, that's where they ran to when the Spaniards came and conquered the Incans. They ran into those mountains, and they were just living there ever since. Again, these are the indigenous groups that never got conquered. Or let me not say got conquered, but they pretty much gave the Edomites a hard time because of their nomadic lifestyle. They never stayed in one place. So now that we got the tribe of Naphtali down, we're almost done with this lesson. Let's go on to Ephraim, and I'm gonna make this quick because Ephraim has a lot. Has a lot. This is Ephraim. Joseph is a fruitful bow, even a fruitful bow by a well, whose branches run over the wall. Now Joseph, okay, let's get ahead and get this scripture right here. Joseph, uh, head of Joseph, Ephraim. There's one scripture that we can get. I forgot. Hmm. Mm, let's see here. Now Joseph refers to two tribes, Manasseh and Ephraim, but Ephraim gained the bigger blessing. Let's go to Genesis 48, okay, and 5. Okay. It says here Genesis 48 and 5. And now thy two sons. This is pretty much Joseph. Okay. When Joseph pretty much showed his two sons to Jacob, his father. Okay. And now thy two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, which were born unto thee in the land of Egypt before I came unto thee into Egypt, are mine. As Reuben and Simeon, they shall be mine. So Ephraim and Manasseh, even though they were Jacob's grandchildren, they became Jacob's own sons. They became adopted. They pretty much became a part of the 12 tribes. And any children that comes out of Ephraim and Manasseh will be from the 12, will be a part of the 12 tribes. That's why Ephraim and Manasseh are a part of the 12 tribes of Israel, because of this right here, because of what Jacob said. Okay? So that's pretty much it. And also I can go ahead and get what's it called? Let's see here. Uh, let me get the hand on Ephraim. Let's see here. I'm looking for scripture. Where is it? Yeah, it's in Genesis 48, but there's also another one. There's also another scripture that I'm looking for. Ephraim. Where is it? You know what? I can't find it, but Lord willing, I find it later. This is Genesis chapter 48, verse 17. And when Joseph saw that his father laid his right hand upon the head of Ephraim, it displeased him, because if you know the story, Ephraim is actually the younger child, and through the custom, through custom, through our culture, the firstborn is supposed to get the bigger blessing, or you could say the next head of the household, the firstborn. Okay. And he held up his father's hand to remove it from Ephraim's head unto Manasseh's head, because Manasseh was the older child. And Joseph said unto his father, Not so, my father, for this is the firstborn. Put thy right hand upon his head, okay, which is Manasseh. And his father refused and said, I know it, my son, I know it. Okay. So Jacob did this through the spirit, because even though Manasseh was supposed to receive the greater blessing, he pretty much became the less of those two people. Ephraim became greater than Manasseh, and you'll find out why. You find out why. You pretty much find out why through prophecy. You pretty much find out why through prophecy. Still, like I had to read my text message. And his father refused and said, I know it, my son, I know it. He shall also become a people, and he shall also be great. But truly his younger brother, Ephraim, shall be greater than he, and his seed shall become a multitude of nations. Okay? So there you go. Multitude of nations means Ephraim became a very, very numerous family of people. Okay? The tribe of Ephraim, the so called Puerto Ricans, the Puerto Ricans that look like Puerto Ricans, they're numerous. They have a lot of children, and they're not only in the land, or you can say the island of Puerto Rico. They're all over the Americas. Some are even in Europe, just chilling. A lot of them in the UK. Kicking off this reggaeton or reggaeton stuff that they do with this guy Bad Bunny. Wicked Ephraimite. Anyways, so that's the tribe of Ephraim right there. That's the whole story behind it. Ephraim became the greater tribe of those two. Joseph is a fruitful bow, which this is referring to Ephraim. You can say Ephraim and Manasseh, but Ephraim being uh the greater one of those two. This will apply to Ephraim first. Ephraim or Joseph is a fruitful bow, even a fruitful bow by a well, whose branches run over the wall. Fruitful meaning they have a lot of children, and branches meaning that they pretty much had a lot of children. It's referring to that as well. They had a lot of children. The archers have sorely grieved him and shot at him and hated him. The archers, being the Spaniards, they pretty much almost wiped out the Taino Indians, which are the Puerto Ricans. Okay, and then also it goes into prophecy as well, because if you go into the meaning of Ephraim, very spiritual. Okay. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start reading in the Blue Letter Bible, because it makes it easier, so I don't have to go back and forth. Ephraim, if we get the concordance of Ephraim, let's see. Ephraim, it goes into prophecy. Okay, right here. Boom. This is Genesis 41, verse 52. And the name of the second called he Ephraim, for the Most High has caused me to be fruitful in the land of my affliction. So there you go. Ephraim being fruitful in the land of my affliction. And let's get the concordance of Ephraim. Okay. The concordance of Ephraim is a parium, okay, which is supposed to be fruitful or be fruitful. Okay. A parium meaning fruitful. So that's omen nomen right there, because Ephraim, they have a lot of children. And they are also the head tribe of the northern kingdom, or the 10 tribes, as I stated before. Okay. Joseph is a fruitful bow, even a fruitful bow by a well, whose branches run over the wall. Okay, so we know that's referring to them having a lot of children. the Taino Indians. The archers had sorely grieved him and shot at him and hated him. Yeah, because the conquistadors almost wiped out the Taino Indians. But his bow abode in strength, and the arms of his hands were made strong by the hands of the mighty power of Jacob. From thence is the shepherd, the stone of Israel. So pretty much the Lord delivered Ephraim from being exterminated because they went from, I think it was like 5 million or 10 million Taino Indians being cut down to, I think it was like 50,000 of them, in that 30-year lifespan, or that 30-year time period of the conquistadors showing up. But because of the love that the Lord had towards the tribe of Ephraim, they were not exterminated. They became even bigger than before. Okay. Uh, is there anything in Deuteronomy chapter 33? Let's look here. Yeah. Okay. I'll read that later. Okay. Uh, even by the power of thy father you shall help thee. Okay. And by the Almighty you shall bless thee with the blessings of heaven above, blessings of the deep that lieth under, blessings of the breast, and blessings of the womb. Okay. So the tribe of Ephraim, where they live, the island of Puerto Rico, before the Spaniards came here, okay, they were blessed, numerously blessed. The land was blessed with all types of animals, with all types of treasures in the island of Puerto Rico. You had gold littered all over the sands. Their breasts were blessed, meaning they were very fruitful. And they had a lot of children. Verse 26, the blessings of thy father have prevailed above the blessing of my progenitors unto the utmost bound of the everlasting hills. They shall be on the head of Joseph, okay, Ephraim, and on the crown of the head of him that was separate from his brethren. Okay. So that's the tribe of Ephraim right there. Going into Deuteronomy chapter 33, verse 13, and of Joseph he said, blessed of the Lord, or blessed of the Lord be his land, for the precious things of heaven, for the dew and for the deep that coucheth beneath. So this is also saying the same thing. The island of Puerto Rico is rich in resources, before the Spaniards came. Because if you look at the island of Puerto Rico now, even though a lot of places in Puerto Rico is still beautiful, and you can see the magnificent oceans and whatnot, majority of that place, or you could say a good portion of that place is run down. It has not been maintained well since the Spaniards arrived. And for the precious fruits brought forth by the sun, and for the precious things put forth by the moon, and for the chief things of the ancient mountains, and for the precious things of the lasting hills, and for the precious things of the earth and fullness thereof, and for the goodwill of him that dwelt in the bush, let the blessing come upon the head of Joseph, Ephraim, and upon the top of the head of him that was separated from his brethren. So it's saying the same thing. And Ephraim, the Puerto Ricans, they received a greater blessing than the Cubans. The Cubans are great. Manasseh, the tribe of Manasseh, they're great as well, but Ephraim received the greater blessing. Okay. His glory is like the firstling of his bullock, and his horns are like to the horns of unicorns. With them he shall push the people together to the ends of the earth, which is the western hemisphere, and they are the 10,000s of Ephraim, and they are the thousands of Manasseh. So when the 10 tribes came over to the Americas, Ephraim guided them here, through the will of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. But Ephraim was the one that led the tribes over here to the Americas, the 10 tribes, or you could say the 10 quote unquote lost tribes, okay, for you to understand. And this prophecy also goes into the tribe of Manasseh, but uh, Joseph represents Manasseh and Ephraim, but Ephraim being the head tribe of the house of Joseph, okay. And also, we're going to get the concordance of Manasseh as well. It's very important that we get the concordance of Manasseh. Let's type in here, Nah. I always forget how to spell Manasseh. I don't know why. It says here, Genesis 41, verse 51. And Joseph called the name of the firstborn Manasseh, for the Most High said, He has made me forget all my toil in all my father's house. So pretty much Joseph uh through how he was living in Egypt, he pretty much forgot about the afflictions that he caught. He forgot about the afflictions, and he even forgot about Jacob as well. His family that was living outside of Egypt. But later on, if you read the story, Jacob and the rest of the 12, or you could say the rest of the sons, they actually came and met Joseph in Egypt as well. So it was through the Spirit. And that's how the 12 tribes pretty much multiplied. They became big and big and big during the time of Egypt. And then you had the Pharaoh that came after, that Pharaoh that was pretty much treating Joseph right. And he pretty much afflicted, the nation of Israel. And that led to the 400-year captivity. As a reference. Okay. So let's go into the concordance of Manasseh. And the Hebrew word is Manasseh. Manasseh. Okay. Manasseh, which means made to forget or causing to forget. Or you could say to be forgetful. That's what Manasseh means. And they are the so called Cubans or Cubanos. The Cubanos and the Puerto Ricans. And you know what's spiritual? The house of Joseph being the so called Puerto Ricans and the so called, or you could say the so called Puerto Ricans and the so called Cubans, okay? They they have the same flag, but just with different colors, okay? You can see it's inverted. It has blue here, but on the Cuban flag, it has red here. On the Manasseh flag, it has blue stripes, but on the Puerto Rican flag, it has red stripes. So this shows you it's a spiritual thing. They're the same people. They're the same people of the same house, the house of Joseph, right there. So that's the tribe of Manasseh, and that's the tribe of Ephraim. Okay. Whew. Now let's get into Benjamin. Ben Yum Yun. Okay. Benjamin. Which the elder of our camp, he's from the tribe of Benjamin. Just putting that out there. Anyways, okay. This is Benjamin, and they are the so-called West Indians. That live on those different islands. Bahamas, Saint Lucia, Trinidad. What else? I think there's one called Grenada or something like that. There are a lot of islands down there. In those Caribbean islands. They are the tribe of Benjamin. Okay, West Indians. So let's go. Let's get into the prophecy of Benjamin. It says here, Benjamin, which before I do that, I always forget. Let's get this right here. Okay. This is Genesis 35, verse 18, and it came to pass as her soul was in departing, for she died, that she called his name Ben Ani or Ben Anah. I think it's Ben Anah, Ban Anah, but his father called him Benjamin, which is Ben Yamyunyan. Okay, and I think Ben Ani. I'm not sure what it meant, but let me look for it. The concordance of Ben Ani. Ben Ani is pretty much son of my sorrow. So she when she was given birth to Benjamin, it was a sorrowful birth. She was in pain. So that's why she named him Ben Ani or Ben Ana. But uh Jacob changed his name to Benjamin, which means, if I can find it here, Benjamin, which in the Hebrew is Ben Yum Yun, Ben Ban Yum Yun, which means son of the right. Okay, son of the right hand. Okay, son of the right hand, or you could say son of the of the right hand, which the right hand is Yahushua. So Benjamin is a tribe that's very close to Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. Omen Omen, son of the right hand. This is the prophecy of Benjamin. Benjamin shall raven as a wolf. Okay, raven meaning that they howl harsh sounds. In their poetry and their music, They make a lot of harsh sounds about their enemies, telling saying that their enemies will be destroyed, and their main enemy that they were prophesying against, or you could say ravening against, were the what you could say was America, Babylon the Great. Okay, and all these West Indian songs, these old ones, not the new ones now, where they talk about folly and whatnot. But in these old songs, they will always chant the downfall of Babylon, like as a wolf. They'll get together in packs and chant the downfall of Babylon. So the Lord likened Benjamin as a wolf, okay? Because of how they maneuver, how they operate. Benjamin shall raven as a wolf. In the morning he shall devour the prey, which the morning represents the beginning of the kingdom of the nation of Israel, In the morning he shall devour the prey, and that prey represents Edom, Esau, the main prey of the nation of Israel. And at night, okay, he shall divide the spoil. The night represents the end of Esau's rulership or the Edomite rulership. He's going to divide the spoil, okay? And also you can reference, it talks about the in the morning is when Yahushua comes back. That's when Benjamin is going to really get down and get busy, That's when they're going to devour that prey. But the morning represents the beginning of our kingdom, and the night represents the end of Esau's rulership, So Esau's night is our morning, okay? Esau's downfall is our come up, or you could say our upcoming, okay? So that's the prophecy of Benjamin. Verse 28, all these are the 12 tribes of Israel, and this is it, that their father spake unto them and blessed them. Everyone according to his blessing, he blessed them. Okay? So we're done with Genesis chapter 49. Okay, I'm not going to get the rest. Genesis chapter 49. Let's go into Deuteronomy chapter 33, because we have a second part of this, And I'm going to go to the main point. This is Deuteronomy chapter 33, verse 6. It says, let Reuben live and not die. Ra'aban, that goes into the Seminole Wars, Reuben, they fought unto the last man. I think they were down to 200 or 100 Seminole Indians, okay? And the Lord made it so that they never they never went extinct. They were never wiped out, even though they fought a lot of wars with Esau. So that's Reuben right there, the so-called Seminole Indians. Verse 7, and this is the blessing of Judah. And he said, here Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, which name Yahweh meaning the Heavenly Father, Ba'ashem in the name, Yahushai, meaning our only begotten Savior, the voice of Judah, and bring him unto his people. Okay, so Judah was brought here unto the Americas, into the Americas to be with his people. Okay, really to be reunited with the 10 tribes. Let his hands be sufficient for him. Okay, and be thou in help to him from his enemies. So Judah, the Lord was very close with Judah, and the Lord pretty much preserved the tribe of Judah from his enemies, even though Esau sought to pretty much eradicate the tribe of Judah, to pretty much destroy them. The Lord still built the tribe of Judah up to the point where they'll now be in these last days seeking Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, the elect from the tribe of Judah. Verse 8, and of Levi he said, which Levi, lawyer, okay, lawyer meaning the join unto me, let thy Thummim and thy Urim be with thy Holy One, okay? Which this is going into the priestly duty, okay? The tribe of Levi were given the blessing of being the priest, okay? With the Thummim and the Urim. Now I don't know exactly the whole history with the Thummim and the Urim, the Thummim and the Urim, but you know when I do, I'll go ahead and make a video about it, or I'll put it down as a comment, just for if anybody wanted to know about the history about the Thummim and the Urim. Let thy Thummim and thy Urim be with thy Holy One, whom thou did prove at Messiah, and with whom thou did strive at the waters of Meribah. Okay, so there you go. Verse 9, who said unto his father and to his mother, I have not seen him, neither did he acknowledge his brethren, nor knew his own children, for they have observed thy word and kept thy covenant. So Levi is a very special tribe. Okay. Verse 10, they shall teach Jacob thy judgments, Levi being the lawgiver or the administrator of the law, and Israel thy law. They shall put incense before thee and hold burnt sacrifice upon thy altar. So Levi, the tribe of Levi, were in charge of conducting the sacrifices, the sacrifices that we do on our high holy days. Levi pretty much conducted this, and they also kept record of the high holy days. They also kept record of the new moon when the new moon would come in, which that was actually given to Issachar as well because they had understanding of the times, which is gonna, I think it's in First Chronicles, which I probably should have gotten. It's all through the spirit. It's all right. There are a lot of scriptures that I don't have intact because I'm doing this kind of impromptu, but it's all right. Uh, Verse 11: Bless Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushai his substance, and accept the work of his hands. Smite through the loins of them that rise against him, and of them that hate him, that they rise not again, the tribe of Levi. And the Lord did that against the Haitians. Okay, the Haitians, not the Haitians, but the Lord did that against the French during the Haitian Revolution. Okay, I believe the Haitians were the ones to pretty much kick off that revolution, and through that revolution, they actually helped free the rest of America from slavery. The Haitians went on to the different islands and helped them rebel against their oppressors, and then they went into Central America and helped the children or the, you could say, the tribe of Zebulon, rebel against their oppressors as well. So Levi, they're a very special people. The Lord is dear unto the tribe of Levi. Verse 12, and of Benjamin he said, the beloved of the Lord shall dwell in safety by him, and the Lord shall cover him all the day long, and he shall dwell between his soldiers. So Benjamin is a very uh, dear tribe to the Lord. That's why he's named Son of the Right, because he's very near unto the Lord, just like Levi. And of Joseph he said, blessed of the Lord be his land for the precious things of heaven, and for the dew and for the deep that coucheth beneath. This is also going into the fruitful land. The Lord blessed Ephraim with riches. That's why Puerto Rico means port of riches. And for the precious fruits brought forth by the sun, and for the precious things put forth by the moon, and for the chief things of the ancient mountains, and for the precious things of the lasting hills, and for the precious things of the earth and fullness thereof, and for the good will of him that dwelt in the bush, let the blessing come upon the head of Joseph, and upon the top of the head of him that was separated from his brethren. Because Joseph was separated from the rest of the tribes. Okay. Verse 17, his glory is like firstling of his bullock, and his horns are like to the horns of unicorns. With them he shall push the people together to the ends of the earth, and they are the 10,000s of Ephraim, and they are the thousands of Manasseh. So Ephraim led the 10 tribes over here. All right, verse 18. This is what I wanted to get, for the tribe of Zebulon, the Central Americans. If you know history, the tribe of Zebulon were referred to as the Mayans. Okay, that was their indigenous name. And Issachar are referred to as the Aztecs or the Aztecas. And the Mayans and the Aztecs dwelt together. And this is why this prophecy pretty much talks about that. And of Zebulon he said, rejoice, Zebulon, in thy going out, and Issachar in thy tents. So they dwelt together. Even going into the history, you had Aztecs who would come into Central America and pretty much conduct the sacrifices for the Mayans. And you also had the Mayans who came into to pretty much the land of the Aztecs or the land of Issachar, and pretty much shared their knowledge with them as well. So the Aztecs and the Mayans are very close to one another, and it's spiritual too because you see a lot of Central Americans and Mexicans. They're very close. And sometimes they even get mistaken for one another because they pretty much mingled amongst each other and dwelt together. They lived amongst each other. So there you go. Verse 19, they shall call the people unto the mountain, there they shall offer sacrifices of righteousness For they shall suck of the abundance of the seas and of the treasures hid in the sand. So this is going into the sacrifices that the Aztecs did among the Mayans, Okay? They were conducting a lot of sacrifices, and they also had the the tribe of Zebulon. What's the word I'm looking for? They had the tribe of Zebulon present there, when they did these sacrifices. So there you go. Before I get there, I also want to get this right here. Issachar. Because since we're talking about Issachar and Zebulon, this is very important to know. Okay? It says here Issachar and the children of Issachar right here. First Chronicles 12 and 32. And of the children of Issachar, which were men that had understanding of the times, to know what Israel ought to do, the heads of them were 200, and all their brethren were at their commandments. So Issachar, the children of Issachar, were men who understood the pretty much they understood the heavens. They understood the heavenly arrangements. The stars, uh, which the moon and the sun is a star itself. But they understood the stars and how they operated, and they understood the omens of these stars. For example, when the new moon was going to come in, Issachar they knew the what's the word I'm looking. They knew the moon phases. They understood the moon phases. They also understood the almanacs. What people will call the 12 zodiac signs. Issachar, or you could say the so-called Mexicans, before they were conquered, they had understanding of this. And that's why you see, the tribe of Issachar, they created what was called, I think, is the Mayan calendar, which is not really from the Mayans, it's from the Aztecs. The Aztecs created that, the tribe of Issachar, because going into the prophecy, you had some Issacharites that lived amongst the Mayans, the so-called Central Americans, which are now known as the Zebulonites. So there you go. The children of Issachar, they're very understanding and knowledgeable about pretty much the heavenly arrangements. So let's go back to Deuteronomy chapter 33. And of Gad he said, Blessed be he that enlargeth Gad, which that's going into Gad receiving the largest allotments of land. Okay? When they came over to America and to the Americas, Gad received the biggest portion of landmass. If you look here, Gad lives in the US, okay? Some parts of Mexico. Canada was known as Gadite territory. Alaska, and even Greenland itself. So that's what it means by Gad. He enlarged it as Gad, meaning he had a Gad. He enlarged it as a lion, meaning he had a huge landmass that he lived in. He was given the biggest landmass out of all the tribes. So going back, and of Gad, he said, "Blessed be he that enlargeth Gad; he dwelleth as a lion." Okay, so he received the largest allotment of land, a landmass, when they came over here to the Americas, and teareth the arm with the crown of the head. Now, the tear of the arm, that's referring to the blood covenant that they make with each other. Let me see if I can find it. Native American blood covenant. Okay, this is what it means by he teareth the arm. Okay, they do what is called the. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, yeah, here it is. Let me see. Okay, here it is. No, that's not what I wanted. Native American blood pack. Let me type in blood pack. I don't know why it keeps bringing up DNA and all this bullshit stuff that they do. I'm trying to look for the blood pack. Oh, this is annoying. But if you go into the history of the Native Americans, they had what is called a blood pack, that they pretty much do with each other. So whenever they made a promise between two different Native American tribes, they make what is called a blood pact. So that's what it means. He tear off the arm. Okay. He teareth the arm with the crown of the head. Now the crown of the head is referring to the Gadite headdress that they wore, especially those top Native American chiefs. They wore something like this, you know. Actually, I think I found it right here. These little headdresses that they put on, you know. So this is going to how they dressed. This is what it's talking about as the crown of the head. This is their attire. The Native Americans, you know, so-called Native Americans, the tribe of Gad. This is their attire. Okay, that's also prophecy in itself. Verse 21, and he provided the first part of himself because there is no, that's going to the tribe of Dan. We're not going to go into that. Okay, Deuteronomy chapter 33, verse 23, and of Naphtali he said, O Naphtali, satisfied with favor and full with the blessing of the Lord, possess thou the west and the south. So Naphtali was blessed, and also, okay, this is prophecy of where the tribe of Naphtali will be. Okay, possess thou the west and the south. So if we go all the way onto the western hemisphere, okay, the most southern part of the western hemisphere will bring you all the way down to Chile and Argentina, and that's where majority of the tribe of Naphtali are located, in Argentina and Chile. So that's prophecy right there. We pretty much went into Asher. We read this already, but this is going into their resources and the separation between the indigenous and so-called civilized Brazilians that are living there today. And also their might as well. Uh, so that's pretty much it. About the whole 12 tribes of Israel. That's a brief synopsis. Even though this video was really really long, Lord willing, I answer your question. And Lord willing, you had the mental fortitude to endure this long video because, man, I tried to make this as short as possible, but sometimes the spirit wouldn't allow. But before I end this lesson, I'm going to go ahead and read James 1 and 1 because uh, this is the prophecy of what the 12 tribes will be in the last days. Okay, that's the prophecy right there. Okay, but you also have a scattering of the 12 tribes all around the world. Now I don't know if you are one of the tribes, if you're so-called Negro, Latino, or Native American. I don't know. You can't really tell from a name or an avatar from a social media page if you don't have any videos of who you are. So I can't really tell. But if you are not one of those tribes, you might okay have a chance at salvation if your line goes back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, because there was a scattering of the tribes, and now Israel, as it says, and I think it's in is it in Hosea where it says Israel shall be among the Gentiles as a vessel wherein there is no pleasure, Now the nation of Israel are scattered amongst the nations, okay, acting like the heathens, sometimes even looking like the heathens, And now they're a vessel that has no pleasure. The Lord has no pleasure in them. That's why the Lord removed his name from them, or from us. Okay? This is James 1 and 1. James, a servant of the Most High and of the Lord Yahushai, a Mashiach, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, reading. Okay? So the 12 tribes, besides the prophecy, because it is prophecy, majority of the 12 tribes are here in the Americas, but you also have a scattering of the 12 tribes all around the world, okay? All around the world, and the Lord is going to gather the elect of those tribes, all right? I think it's Jeremiah 16, verse 16, okay? Oh, man, this is a long-winded lesson, man. Even I feel exhausted, okay? I feel exhausted. Go ahead and get it. Jeremiah 16, verse 13, and it says here, uh, Let me start at verse 14. Let me actually, before I do that, let me go ahead and sip some water. Feels like I'm about to pass out, you know. This is Jeremiah 16, verse 14. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that it shall no more be said, the Lord liveth, that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. Okay? But the Lord liveth, that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north. Remember the north, the north. Jeremiah, not Jeremiah, Genesis chapter 49, going into the prophecy of where the 12 tribes will be in the last days, okay? The land of the north, and from all the lands, whether he had driven them. Remember, because in James 1 and 1, the 12 tribes are scattered abroad, meaning they're all around the world as well, not only in the Western Hemisphere. And from all the lands, whether he had driven them, and now bring them again into their land that I've gave unto their fathers, you know. So the Lord is going to gather the elect of the nation of Israel from the four corners of the earth and bring them into their land, you know. You can also read Revelation 7, okay, where it talks about 12,000 out of each tribe, the 144,000, and the great multitude, you know, who no man can number, you know. Revelation 7. That is who salvation is for, okay? Only for the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Simple as that, okay? Uh, damn, I don't want to read. It's not too long, okay? You know what? Let me read it, just for the sake of the lesson. This is Revelation chapter 7, verse 1. And after these things I saw four angels standing on the four corners of the earth, holding the four winds, which the winds represents the destruction. You know, there's a precept to that, but I'm not going to get it. Of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree, until when? And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living power, and he cried with a loud voice to the four angels, to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea. Okay, so these four angels were given the instruction to hurt the earth and the sea, meaning to let the four winds of the destruction come. You know, saying, "Hurt not the earth, neither the sea, neither the nor the trees." Okay, so don't let the destruction come till we have sealed the servants of our power in their foreheads. Okay, and the servants are the 144,000 and the one third, the elect of Yasharala, or you could say the God, or you could say the Israel of the Most High, you know, or the Israel of God, because you have majority of our people that will be destroyed here in America. Okay, let me go ahead and get that. 2/3 shall be cut off. Okay. This is Zechariah 13 and 8. It says here, and it shall come to pass that in the land, or in all the land, saith the Lord, two parts therein shall be cut off and die, but the third shall be left therein. Meaning, left, when it says left therein, it means to be delivered. So 2/3 of our people here in America will be cut off and die, but the third, the elect, shall be left therein, meaning the elect shall be saved, the 1/3. And this is referring to America only, because you do have 2/3 that are not called the 2/3. They don't have that label on them in the Bible, but they're known as the rebellious or the rebels. Okay, they will also be purged and destroyed along with the 2/3. But the elect, okay, the quote unquote 1/3, because they're not given that term 1/3, they're called the elect. The elect outside of America, okay, the elect Israelites will be delivered as well as the 1/3 here in America. Okay, and if you want more on the two-thirds outside of America being destroyed, you can go ahead and read. I think it's Ezekiel 36, Ezekiel 36 chapter on the rebels, okay, being purged. Those are those wicked Israelites outside of America. Okay, so going back to Revelation chapter 7. And I heard the number of them which were sealed, and there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel. Okay. Of the tribe of Judah were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Reuben were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Gad were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Asher were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Naphtali were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Manasseh were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Simeon were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Levi were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Issachar were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Zebulon were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Joseph, meaning Ephraim, because it mentioned Manasseh here, or Manasseh. So this will be Ephraim. Of the tribe of Ephraim were sealed 12,000, which is Joseph. Of the tribe of Benjamin were sealed 12,000. So 12 tribes, 12,000 out of each tribe will be delivered, making 144,000. After the 144,000, I beheld, and lo, a great multitude, which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and peoples and tongues, stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands. And this is referring to the elect of the nation of Israel, the 1/3, that great multitude, the Israelite foreigners, that are outside of America. Because remember in James 1:1, we read, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greeting. So from James 1:1, we know that the 12 tribes are scattered abroad. Okay, and they have mingled among the nations. Go ahead and get Ezekiel gathered them out of every country. And we also read Jeremiah 16 and 13 as well. Okay, this is Ezekiel 34, verse 13. And I will bring them out from the people and gather them from the countries. Okay, I will bring them to their own land and feed them upon the mountains of Israel, by the rivers, and in all the inhabited places of the country. Okay, that's Ezekiel 34 and 13. There's also another one that I could get. This is Jeremiah 32 and 37. Okay, it says here, behold, I will gather them out of all countries. Okay, all countries. Remember, we read in Revelation 7. Okay, a great multitude which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and peoples and tongues. So these Israelites, they came from every country wherein they were scattered, looking like those nations. Okay, you had Israelites that were looking Chinese. What John was seeing was he saw Israelites that looked Chinese. He saw Israelites that looked like so-called white people. He saw Israelites that looked like so-called indigenous Africans, Hamites, Canaanites. He saw Israelites that looked like so-called Hawaiians, Japhetic people. He saw Israelites that looked like so-called Arabs, Ishmaelites. They had a Arabian appearance, and they were of the elect. Okay, let me go back to Jeremiah 32 and 37. Behold, I will gather them out of all countries, whither I had driven them in mine anger, because the Lord put the curses on us. And according to this prophecy right here, Deuteronomy, I think it's 28, verse 68. No, it's 64. This is the curse that the Lord put on the nation of Israel. Okay, this is Deuteronomy 28, verse 64. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people. Okay, so the Israelites were scattered among all people of the face of the earth, from the one end of the earth even unto the other. So The Israelites are located from the western hemisphere all the way to the eastern hemisphere. You have Israelites in the land of Iran, looking like them Iranians right now. You have Israelites in the land of Russia, looking like those Russians. Speaking that Russian tongue. You have Israelites in the land of Nigeria, okay, looking like those Hamites today. Like those indigenous Africans in the north of Nigeria. You have Israelites looking like those Sudanese people in the land of Sudan. So the nation of Israel, they're scattered all over the world. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people from the one end of the earth even unto the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods, okay, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. So Jake, the nation of Israel, which Jake is short for Jacob, they pretty much went and served other gods. Some went to Christianity, some went to Islam. You even have a lot of our people, or some of our people, that went into Buddhism, Hinduism, okay, even in paganism, Asatru, which is like Norse pagan religion. You have a lot of Israelites over there, and that was in that Scandinavian region, doing that Asatru pagan bullshit. So that's the curse that was placed upon the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Okay, the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Okay, let's go back to Revelation 7 and finish it up. Where is it? Where the hell is Revelation 7? Okay, here it is. Okay, so now that we know, in fact, let me go to Revelation chapter 5. Let's go to Revelation chapter 5. Okay, this is who the great multitude. This is who they are. Revelation chapter 5. Let me read verse 9. And they sung a new song, saying, Thou art worthy to take the book and to open the seals thereof. For thou wast slain and hast redeemed us. This is the great multitude, okay? This is who the great multitude were referring to. Redeemed us to the Most High by thy blood out of every kindred and tongue and people and nation, okay? So the nation of Israel, them being scattered all over the world, the elect of them were redeemed by Yahushua's sacrifice. Okay? And if you want to know more on that, you could just go ahead and read Matthew 101, where the Lord, the angel, was naming uh, Yahushua, and he said, call his name Yahushua, for he shall deliver his people from their sins. And Yahushua was from the tribe of Judah. And Judah is one of the sons or the 12 tribes of Israel. So who is the Lord going to deliver and save? The nation of Israel. It's very simple. I can also go into Luke 1 69 and read that as well. In fact, let me go ahead and read it. Spirit anyway. Let me just read it. Let me stop being lazy. Let me read it. This is Luke 1, and this is the prophecy of Zechariah. We start at verse 67. And his father Zechariah was filled with the Holy Spirit and prophesied, saying, Blessed be the Lord God of Israel, God of Israel, God of Israel, for he has visited and redeemed his people. Okay? And has raised up an horn of salvation for us in the house of his servant David. Okay? As he spake by the mouth of his holy prophets, that horn of salvation, that power of salvation is Yahushua, the Savior, the Messiah. Okay? He's that power of salvation that we're supposed to rely on to deliver us in these last days. As he spake by the mouth of his holy prophets, which have been since the world began, that we should be saved from our enemies. Who are our enemies? Psalms 83. The tabernacles, Edom, Moab, Ammon, all these different nations, Ishmael, they are our enemies. And from the hand of all that hate us, every one of these nations hate us. Verse 72, perform the mercy promised to our fathers and to remember his holy covenant. okay, which is who he made with Jacob, from Abraham, Isaac to Jacob. And the seed and that promise fell onto Jacob and skipped over Esau because he was rejected. Which, that's for another lesson for another time. But I'm gonna go ahead and finish up Revelation chapter 7. Yep. Revelation chapter 7. After this, to behold, and lo, a great multitude, which, again, for more proof on who the great multitude is, we can actually go ahead and get in the blue letter, Revelation 7 and 9. We're going to get the concordance of uh, a people. Where is it? I think it's kindreds. Yeah, it's kindreds right here. Uh, Phule, which is a Greek word, says here, Phule, a tribe in the New Testament, all, let me highlight this, all the persons descending from one of the 12 sons of the patriarch Jacob, a nation, a people. So this great multitude are people descending from one of the 12 sons of Jacob, from one of the 12 tribes of Israel. Okay? That they don't know who they are, they don't know their nationality because they've been scattered among the nations, but they were, appointed from the foundation of the world to be redeemed and be above that be a part of that elect remnant to be delivered from the coming destruction. Because you do have Israelites that are scattered abroad, like I said before, that will be destroyed, and they are known as the rebels. They will be purged to all the countries, whether they dwell. So let's finish it off. Revelation chapter 7. Uh which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and tongues and peoples and tongues stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands, and cried with a loud voice, saying, Salvation to our power. Okay? Blessed be the God power of Jacob, which sitteth upon the throne, and unto the Lamb. Okay? So that's pretty much it. Uh on who the 12 tribes are, and I also went into the scattered Israelites as well. So to this person's comment, Lord willing, I answered your comment. I edified you and connect them to who they are now in this modern era, according to prophecy, of course, because you still have Israelites that are scattered among the nations. But for the most part, Genesis chapter 49 is prophecy, and that prophecy has been fulfilled, and that's why we have what is known as the 12 tribe chart. A chart pretty much, a chart like this. No, not that. Like, no, not like not that. Like this, depicting who is who. So you got Judah, Negroes, Benjamin, West Indians, Levi, Haitians, Simeon, Dominicans, so on and so forth. This is according to prophecy, regarding, the Israelites that are scattered abroad. So Lord willing, this lesson was edifying to you all, especially you. Okay? Duan Clark. Hopefully you were edified, and until next time, Shalom.